good morning or good afternoon, everyone who's listening. Thank you so much for joining us today for the next episode of Let's Explore AI. My name is Courtney Blackman. I'm delighted to be your host. I'm from the innovation function at Lander and Rogers called the iHub, and this podcast is a collaboration between Lander and Rogers and the Center for Legal Innovation. And it's all about getting really deep into the AI aspects of technology, of legal technology, in a really short, succinct episode. So this is only 30 minutes. We're going to jump in. Really excited to have Bianca Boren Cuthill with us today from Smokeball. She's going to tell us all about Archie. She's going to take us through the product. I'm going to ask some questions, and then I'm going to open it up to you all who are listening as well to ask some questions if you're keen. So hello, Bianca. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're basically the first technology person that we're chatting to for Let's Explore AI.
Pressure's
So
on.
huge pressure. Yeah, so wonderful to have you. I'm going to hand it over to you. Could you maybe tell us a bit about yourself, take us through Archie, and I think you've got something you can show us as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely, I can. Awesome. Firstly, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really delighted to be presenting on Smokeball's behalf. So as Courtney said, I'm here today to talk to you about Archie AI, Smokeball's AI solution, and my role at Smokeball. So I'm country manager and GM for the Australian business, looking after everything from sales, marketing, client success, client experience, and working very closely with our product teams as well. I've been in the tech game for about 25 years now, so I've seen a lot in that time, and I think the last couple of years in particular around how we've seen a prolific adoption of AI and how it's really taken off, particularly I'd say that last sort of 12 to 18 months from Smokeball's perspective is really exciting. So yes, Courtney, really excited to be helping to answer any questions that the audience may have. But I don't know, did you want to start with some questions, or did you want me to sort of kick things off just with a bit more of an Archie overview? You tell me. Happy to follow your lead.
I think it would be great if we just kick right off and dive into Archie and see what it can do.
Beautiful, fantastic. So what I'll do is I will share my screen, and then we can go along as we can talk a little bit as we go to make this interactive as well. So hopefully by now you can actually see my screen. And so really what you can see on screen at the moment is Smokeball, and I've started as actually in a particular matter view. So one of the things that I'll talk about in terms of how Archie is different, and obviously AI is everywhere, and it's popping up in many different ways across different organizations, whether you're utilizing Copilot or whether obviously using a custom built AI solution such as Archie. So the difference I'd say with Archie in particular that I think it's worth sort of calling out is that, the way that Smokeball has actually developed Archie, and I'll actually just jump into one of the Archie actual views, is so Archie's actually being developed as a private instance of OpenAI's ChatGPT. So one of the questions that always comes up, Courtney, when you're talking about AI in particular is, how is it different to Copilot? Is my data safe? How do you actually, how do you make the AI engine smarter? And so I think the way to sort of think about the way that we've built Archie AI at Smokeball is that it's managed on a private instance. And the way it works is it sits over the context of the documents and the data that's specific to a matter. So we don't ingest information from third-party sources, from other sort of, research websites or any other sort of research or third parties. It is only the information that it's only the firm information specifically. And then secondly, it's actually the matter specific data as well. So I just thought I'd sort of take a minute just to sort of call that out, just because I know there are different ways to think about how you can leverage AI in different firms. And again, just to make that really clear on how we've built Archie specifically at Smokeball.
Thank you.
Cool, no worries. So what I'll do now is I'll jump into a little bit of an overview sort of demo, just so that way then people can get a feel for how Archie actually works. And we first announced Archie AI just over 12 months ago, and we kept it in beta because we really wanted to make sure that as we developed Archie, we were paying close attention to the customer feedback that we were hearing at the time. And like many people who are working with different AI solutions, the AI gets better and better the more you use it. And I think specifically the way we think about Archie at Smokeball is that we want to make sure that, we're continuing to iterate on it and spending a lot of time listening to our customers and their needs to ensure that it's actually meeting the mark and meeting the market with what it is that they're actually looking for. So I've been really excited to see the journey of Archie grow over the last 12 months. And the features that I'm about to show you today are in beta at the moment and should be hopefully going live in the next week or so. And again, it's a testament to the customer feedback of how AI can continue to get better and better. So less talking, and I will get into I'll actually get into the product demonstration. So one of the things that you can do, so the way, as I was saying before, so we're in the context of Simon Smith, and I'm just going to move my little Zoom bar out the way. We're actually in the context of the Simon Smith children and property matter, and you would have seen how I've opened that up from the previous matter earlier. And this little orange tab over here is where Archie starts to do all its thing. Now I'm logged in as Hunter, our CEO. I'm on a demo account, so don't worry, this isn't any personal information that I'm sharing. This is all demo data. And what you can see here is the way that Archie will actually, it'll give you some options, and it says, "Hi Hunter, how can I actually help you today?" So here you can actually choose. We try to make this easier, and what we've done is we've tried to personalize this experience so people can actually, you can either find, summarize, or review and ask Archie a question. You can actually analyze or review a document. You can actually start with a first draft. You can actually start with writing a letter or an email, or you could draft a legal document or a clause. Now, in the limited time I have today, I'm going to try to keep it to sort of 3 key areas. And one of the areas that we find that most of our clients are actually utilizing Archie for initially right now is actually to write an email or a letter. So by clicking this compose button, you can see here, it says, okay, well, I can either write an email or a letter. And it says, so draft an email to, and I can choose of any of the people that I've actually got listed on the particular matter. So I'm going to use Victoria Gomez in this instance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say draft an email to Victoria Gomez. We're going to say requesting a copy of the this is going to test my typing skills, non-financial disclosure items to be included in, and there's a typo there. Let's see if that included in an affidavit. And let's see what it does. So what this will do is this will actually start to generate some responses. And sometimes with Archie, you're sort of working through, it's obviously reading the matter, it's reading the information as part of that. And what you can see here is it's actually saying, "Dear Victoria, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to request a copy of the non-financial disclosure items that need to be included in your affidavit. Your prompt assistance in providing these details will be greatly appreciated." Now, with that, I sort of say, well, look, that's okay. But what I want to do is actually want to make it specific and ask if it can actually give me 10 examples that I can actually run to actually give some details there. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste this to make the typing a little bit easier. And I'm going to say, let's say with 10 examples, and let's see what this comes back with. Because what we're trying to do is we're finding a lot of our clients, and this extends to whether you're a paralegal, whether you're a solicitor, what it's actually doing is we're finding a lot of our clients are using this for that first draft to make their life that much easier and to give them examples. And so if you're here, you can see that what it's actually done is it's actually now coming up with 10 examples of non-financial contributions that they would include in that particular affidavit. Okay, so that's just one example. Now, look, that tone, I might know that client really well, or I might be wanting to be a bit more friendly and a bit more sort of casual in my tone. Here, you can ultimately change the tone to something that's either more formal, professional. Let's see if I can make that more friendly, and let's see what Archie does there with that tone. And this, again, this is something that we're continuing to improve and make it better and better based on all of that feedback. And this feedback was really important that came through loud and clear in the early beta stage last year. And so you can see, "Dear Victoria, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to reach out a little bit more friendly, a little bit more casual, as an example." So with that just gives you an example of just how quickly you can actually get to a first draft. And then from here, you can actually do a couple of things. We can either sort of, send that straight out to open in an Outlook. Now, I won't do that today for me because my Outlook integration is linked to another account, but you can also send it as a message, and I'll show you how we can also reduce it to a Word document as well with one of my other examples, okay? So let's keep moving. So now let's go back. So that's one example, first draft. How do I even get to a first draft? The next one is one of the areas that we know is really common for a lot of firms is that you're roughly picking up a matter. You may not have looked at that particular matter for a few months, a few weeks, whatever the time frame may be. You might say, you know what, just give me a summary on that particular matter. What's actually gone on over the last few months? So here I can actually come in here and say, find, summarize, or review, and I can ask Archie. And see down here, it's saying, what do I want to do? I can either ask it a legal question, a general legal question about this matter. But these little library books down here is something that's new to Archie, and it's actually a prompt library. Now, I think this is a game changer. And the reason why I'm super excited about this is because what we've all learned about AI in general is that it's a new muscle. So it's a new muscle that we're developing, and prompt writing in particular is a new muscle that a lot of people are learning how to actually do differently. And so by creating a prompt library, it's taking all that muscle memory out of it for you. It's like a PT program that's been written. You can come in here into the prompt library, that is a mouthful, and choose a prompt and actually run that prompt. So let's use this one here for the matter summary details. I'm going to click that prompt and we will see Archie work its magic, where you will see here that what Archie is now doing is it's actually running through all the information on this matter, running a client summary, giving us an overall overview of this particular matter. And you can see here now, this is actually just giving me a really nice summary of what the matter's about. It's about it involves Simon and Victoria Gomez. It talks about what they're trying to do to work through handling the issues related to their children, talks about non-financial contributions, talks about the recent bills, any upcoming critical events and dates, any incomplete tasks that need to be worked through, and the latest email correspondence. Now, Courtney, I don't know about you, but I think if I was picking up a matter like that and working in a firm, this information might be taking me half an hour, maybe even an hour to sort of review the file notes and review all the details and all the correspondence. So to be able to have that information, click of a finger from there, I think is an absolute game changer. We do have a question, but we might hold those questions to the end so I can see that a question's come through. We'll definitely make sure we have time at the end for questions. But yeah, please, we'll definitely make sure we come back to you on those questions from there. So what I'll do with this one in Courtney in particular is let's send this one out to a Word document. So look, I'm pretty happy with that summary. I might want to print that out for someone in the office or share that with one of my team members. So let's actually send this one over to Word. And you can see here now, I can choose whatever I want to do with that particular document, whether I want to print it, save it, share it. Obviously, I can also send that to email as well. But again, just gives you an idea of how quickly and easily you can produce matter summaries from within Archie, from within Smokeball. So the final one that I will come back and show you now is, and this one I love because we often know that a lot of firms that I speak to are now looking at utilizing AI and different solutions to not only just capture meetings and file notes, but they might often be doing, call recordings. They might be transcribing meetings that are actually taking place. Again, to help them with the summarization and the note taking when they're actually in that particular meeting or that interview with one of their clients. So one of the things that would really love to show is if we come back to ask Archie a new question. And what Archie's going to do now is I'm going to have Archie actually help me to sort of summarize a phone call or a video call and actually help me come out with generate like a task list at the end so I know what my actions are following that initial meeting. So what we'll do here is we'll come back into the prompt library again, and you'll see here that in the prompt library, I can actually do a phone or video call prompt in the prompt library with either a task list document or with an email follow-up. So I'm just going to choose this one here with a task list document. So let's run this one. And what it should do is it'll actually, in the files that are being contained and stored within this matter. And so a classic example, one of our strategic partners, VXT, they have a wonderful integration within Smokeball. And so what I can do is I can actually point it to this particular audio file, hit select, because that file's already been saved within the matter, and then run that particular prompt. And then what it's going to do now is it's actually summarizing what's taken place in that particular meeting. And it's actually giving me the summary of what's happened, like what the particular interactions have taken place on the phone call. It's actually giving me the action items. And then from here, I can either create a document directly from that draft, Or I can actually use a different tool that we have within Smokeball called Communicate or Messaging, and I can actually share the summary of that particular interaction with each of our different participants on the matter. And also you can see there all that information is automatically copied and summarized for me automatically. So with that, honestly, Courtney, I could continue to go on and demonstrate more and more of Archie, but I'll probably just pause there for any particular questions. Obviously, I've run through that pretty quickly, but I just wanted to sort of, as you said, show a little bit about Archie up front, just so you could get an idea of what Archie does. And then ultimately, if there are any questions, I'm all yours.
Thank you so much again, Bianca. That was absolutely fantastic, very impressive. A question that comes up a lot at Lander and Rogers and probably a lot of other firms is just around data and privacy and security of client data. And I know you did allude to it, but could you just explain again where Archie is pulling the data from that it's working on and how it's protected and
Absolutely, more than happy to. And I agree. I think it is such an important part because there's so many, as I said, there's so many wonderful uses of AI out there in the wider world. And I think the reason why we took the path that we did at Smokeball was we wanted to make sure that those law firms who are actually uploading that information into their own matters. And so to give you an example, if I jump into here, these documents are the only documents that the law firm has actually loaded into the matter themselves. So that's what I think is a really important distinction, is that Archie will only ever read information that has been loaded into the matter by the law firm. So as I said earlier, it's hosted in a private cloud. We're using ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT-4 as our chosen model, and we don't use any other client data to make that model smarter. We've got our own developers that are onshore in Sydney who are actually continuing to make our models better and better. And what they're looking at is for instance, if I jump back into Archie, what it does is, when I come back into a different, if I look at a different response, you can give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, those different sorts of answers to ensure that the model gets better and better. But coming back to that private instance, I think that's the most important thing, Courtney, is that, think of it as like a private VPN that only Smokeball has access to, and only Smokeball firms have access to their own AI, their own Archie, little house, if you think of it in that kind of context. And I think, and that really prevents any sort of other third party, information being ingested in, because it's only the information that each firm is actually loading into the matter itself. That being said, as I said, that's the other part too, is that at the moment we are tenanted in the way that, if you had multiple matters within a firm, we're not cross-referencing information from matter 1, matter 2, matter 3, matter 4. It's all in that context of that particular matter. But as we start to build out more and more of Archie's capabilities, we might take it to a point where you can do more firm-wide specific things. But I just think that's just part of that distinction in terms of the security element, that it's only the information that the firm's loading into Archie themselves.
and just another quick one before I head over to the questions in there. How long does Archie retain information that's uploaded into it?
Yeah, so whenever you load a matter, what we do is whenever you create a matter and you actually load documents into Archie, we will start we call that document ingestion. We will automatically start that document ingestion within the matter itself. And so we're not deleting any of that documentation. We're not purging that information at all. So all that information is pertained, or contained, I should say, within the matter. I'd say in perpetuity at the moment. We're not under any sort of, it's not like there's like a 30-day hosting. We don't cleanse the data or anything like that. And I think that's really important because, particularly as you can all appreciate, matters can run for weeks, months, years. And so the last thing we want to do is make sure that, that information is always there. But again, because Archie is effectively just surfacing insights and surfing insights on the matter documentation itself, provided those documents are always within that matter, then the data will never go away.
All right. Thank you. I might whiz over to the questions from the participants. So Ritika, did you want to ask a question?
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity today. I just had two questions, which I think one, Bianca has already answered around Archie considering everything in our Smokeball, because that would really benefit us rather than just looking at, for us to separately look at details if we want to. So I look forward to having that facility soon. The other one I wanted to ask was whether Archie considers memos. We
Yes. Sorry. Yep.
So you see, we record every phone call or an email that we do in a memo.
Mhm.
So I just want to know when I'm taking a chronology or asking for a summary, I want Archie to include all of that in the summary.
Absolutely. So that is definitely something. And I think one of the things with Archie is that it continues to get better and better. And so the ability to have it to read memos, I don't believe we currently have it ingesting memo data right now, but I have seen some information internally that is actually on the roadmap. And if it's not happening in this next release, it'll be happening shortly, is my understanding. But I think you mentioned a really good point in terms of chronologies. And I'll just draw to your attention, given that you can still see this screen. This area with apps is a new, and we talked about this at our Smokeball Spark conference a few weeks ago, is that, you will start to see more and more use cases for AI and specific functions within AI that will start to come into the Archie app marketplace, if you want to call it that. And a great example, you mentioned chronologies, is a great example of a tech company called Mary. So Mary, another one of our partners, and they have built a wonderful integration within Smokeball and Archie where you can actually generate chronologies quite simply and easily from within the Archie screen. And so again, I think that the benefits of leveraging AI solutions that have been built by legal tech software providers is that we're building it specifically for our clients and what their specific needs are. And given we're so customer driven in terms of the innovation and the customer engagement that we have at Smokeball, we want to make sure that we're listening to our clients, we're getting that feedback through our beta programs, and we're seeing the requests that are being asked so that how we can continue to keep learning and make the model better and better. And I think that's what's different because, the AI solutions such as Copilot, they are wonderful solutions and all have a role to play out there in the broader sort of market context. And they might help you with a wonderful marketing campaign or a social media posting strategy or, some other sort of more generalist kind of ideas and ideation. But I think, and that's ultimately the distinguishing difference between Archie has been purpose-built specifically for law firms, specifically obviously for Smokeball clients in particular. And really it's there designed to get you to your first draft faster and get you those insights much faster to help our clients be a lot more productive, more efficient, and ultimately give them their time back. So hopefully that answers your question, Ritika. Hopefully that answered your question for you today.
Yes, it does. But the example that you showed earlier regarding the first draft, I just want to know if you could give that same prompt to a AI, say ChatGPT, it would also give the same email. So how different is Archie?
Well, Archie is different because what Archie will do is Archie will only look at that information. You don't need to ingest. If you're using ChatGPT, and it depends on how you're set up. And I think for smaller firms, so obviously Smokeball works with firms, sort of 1 to 30, 50 users of size in terms of the size of clients that we ultimately work with. And what we find is that not a lot of them have their own in-house IT people. So they don't necessarily have their own developers to actually go and create these different models for them. So if you're part of a really, really large law firm, that's obviously a different scenario because you might have some fabulous developers creating ChatGPT models and LLMs out there for you. Whereas a lot of our Smokeball clients don't have that luxury. And so they come to us to help them to make us build or have us help build those solutions on their behalf. So that's the difference is if you're loading that information into ChatGPT, you might need to be redacting information or ensuring that you're de-anonymizing data. Whereas with Smokeball, you don't need to do that because we take care of all of that security aspect for you. So that's probably just the difference. I think firms that use Smokeball don't necessarily want to invest in their own ChatGPT solutions. Doesn't mean they don't have to if they don't want to, but we try to take all the thinking out of it and all the heavy work out of it for you by delivering it for you automatically.
Thank you, Bianca, for your answering.
Absolute pleasure. No worries. Awesome.
Thank you so much for your question, Ritika. If anybody else
That's
has any
great.
questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. And Bianca, I just want to ask who uses Archie the most in law firms? And what are you seeing that it's being most used for?
Yeah, great question. I was talking to our Chief Product Officer, Adele Hurl, about this morning, actually. So we actually find it's really interesting because, you assume that it might be, as an example, you assume it might be paralegals or people who are doing a lot of the drafting, wanting to get some, they're surfacing those matter insights a lot faster to help make it easier particularly for fee earners. But interestingly, we're actually seeing, and it's actually more the solicitors and lawyers within each firm, mainly because what we think is they know what they're looking for, they know the matter, they know what letters it is that they want to drive or generate. But also, I think it's also they know what insights and what instructions they're ultimately looking for to be able to sort of, instruct in terms of being able to instruct their client specifically. So that was actually an interesting data point for us, because I think when you're assuming that it could be more around letter writing and drafting and people who may or may not necessarily have the full legal context of the matter, particularly using a paralegal as an example, it's actually the solicitors and the lawyers within each firm we find are actually the most heaviest and prolific users. So it's not sort of 80-20, but I think in terms of the percentage split, but it's definitely leaning more towards, I'd say, the solicitors within each firm.
Excellent. Thank you. We've only got a few minutes. So just checking if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to raise your hand or pop it in the chat. And also, Bianca, is there anything on your roadmap that you can share with us that people can expect from Archie coming up?
Good question. Well, I think, as I said, we at least a couple of weeks ago at our Smokeball Spark event, we talked about these new features that are actually, as I said, what I'm sharing you now is a bit of a sneak peek. The ones that I get the most excited about, as I said, is the prompt library, because I genuinely think this is going to be a game changer. Because what it is, as I said, is for a lot of firms who are new to AI or don't necessarily know, a lot of lawyers I know don't consider themselves technologically savvy or early tech adopters. This just really helps to take a lot of the thinking out of it. And by creating these prompt libraries, and also be at the concept of being able to share prompt libraries within your firm. So if you, for instance, Courtney, have come up with a really great prompt for a matter, that you can then potentially share that with other team members within your firm, that again is a real game changer. So thinking around how at a firm-wide level, you can have some more consistency. You can think about those time-saving efficiencies. It's almost like workflows, right? You can think about how you're incorporating AI into your firm's workflows, I think are absolutely going to be game changers. So the prompt library, the ability to be able to share prompts within a team context, I think are just two of the many examples that I get excited about. And like I showed you earlier today, the ability to be able to sort of summarize those phone calls and those video calls as well, I think is absolutely going to be transformational for so many firms out there who are time poor and looking to really find ways to make their lives that much easier.
And Bianca, am I right in saying in your prompt library that you can edit the prompts?
Yes, absolutely.
That's very handy.
Because here, this is where you can see you'll edit the prompt.
Yeah.
So you can make as many changes that you need to. And again, all those different elements you can actually build. You can build the different, again, it's like a workflow is the way I think about it. You can actually sort of, create those different prompts yourselves. And again, I just think these are the things that the firms that are jumping on and leveraging AI and incorporating it as part of their day-to-day, I think are the ones that are absolutely going to be leapfrog. Like they will just leapfrog others in terms of, the service that they can then provide to their clients. So, yeah, we're really excited about that. But yeah, I'm really glad that I was able to showcase some of those different settings and those features of Archie today.
Oh, thank you so much. I can't believe that an entire half hour has already snuck by us. That went by so fast. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. And Bianca, if people want to get in touch with you going forward or have any questions about Archie, any questions about Smokeball, how can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. So if anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll find me on LinkedIn, Bianca Bower and Cuthill, or you can ultimately connect with us on our website, smokeball.com.au. Most people have a way of finding me, and that is totally fine, Courtney. I welcome all interest. But honestly, we're really excited about everything that Archie's been delivering for our clients for the last 12 months now, which is really exciting. And the future, I think, is still ahead of us in what Archie has up its sleeve.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Bianca. It was a real pleasure having you with us and learning about Archie. And thank you all for joining us today and listening and asking questions. Great to hear. And we'll see you next time.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Courtney. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye.